Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dogs and cats, horses and cows, whoever's out there in listening land. This is KTEM 1400 on your AM dial, and this is the Common Sense with Conn call-in talk show. The call-in number here is 773-1400. So if y'all have something to say or something to talk about, or you want to argue with me, well, just call that number, 773-1400. We've got an awful lot to talk about today. I have not made hardly any notes. The reason being there's too much to talk about. So normally I'll have 4, 5, 6, 7 pages of notes, and due to y'all's good caller response, I usually get through about the first page, and then the phone rings, and away we go. So y'all feel free to call if it's something you want to talk about. Also, if you know of someone that would like to sponsor this show, the phone number to call there, if you would like to be a sponsor, is 300-1885. That's 300-1885. And we need some sponsors if this show is going to continue. Now, if y'all like the show, well, better go find me some sponsors, because if you don't, if I can't pay KTM, then KTM ain't going to let me talk. So, and I might add, for those of you who think I'm getting rich doing this show, I do not make one red dime off this show. In fact, it costs me money to travel around trying to find sponsors and all that kind of stuff. So I'm at a dead loss when it comes to doing this radio show. So don't get confused thinking that I'm making money out of it, because I'm not. It costs money. At any rate, there is so, and y'all keep in mind now, in just a few minutes, we're going to have a call from Andy Pryor, who is a candidate for land commissioner in the state of Texas. And he wants to talk about several things, and not the least of which is what they're planning to do with the Alamo in San Antonio. Now, if you want to get me riled up, start talking about doing away with the Alamo. Unless I'm mistaken, in the last legislature there was some woman, some lady, somebody, I think a senator, that proposed that we give the Alamo to the United Nations. And in some of this literature I just read, they referred to UNESCO. Well, that is a United Nations organization, and I don't know why anyone that loves Texas would consider giving the Alamo to the United Nations. That to me is so insane. Why would anyone want to do that? I like, I think we have a caller.
Andy Pryor.
Yes, Andy, is that you?
It is. It's a pleasure to meet you and speak with you, Mr. Hayden.
Well, I'm glad to have you on the show. We got about 9,000 questions for you, so.
Well, I'm here to give as many answers as I can. I don't consider myself to be an expert on anything, but I do try my best to study and research. So.
Well, if you know a whole lot more than I do, so that puts you ahead in this game. I would like for you to elaborate as much as you can about the Alamo problem, and also I'm looking at the brochure that we got. Remember the Alamo. Would you tell the listening audience how to get the copy like I've got? Because it's several pages, and I can't read it all on the air. There's not enough time, but a lot of interesting information in this handout. So if you can tell them how to do that, I sure would appreciate it.
Well, I would love to, Mr. Tatum. I guess I'm at a slight disadvantage. Remember the Alamo handout that you have there. I'm not sure which one that is, so I apologize. But It could be. Is it from the This is Texas Freedom Force folks who are hosting the rally next week? Is that who it's from?
Yeah, it's the one. They're going to have a rally on the 23rd, which is next week.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So yes, absolutely. That can be found via the This is Texas Freedom Force website or their Facebook page. They are in fact hosting the Remember the Alamo rally next Friday evening, starting at 5 p.m. By the Cenotaph, just outside of the Alamo. For those who remember their history, it'll be the 182nd anniversary of the beginning of the Battle of the Alamo. So that evening, we're going to be doing a period of remembrance, reading the Travis letter, march around the Alamo, and then once we've done the period of remembrance time, we will begin an opportunity to have some speakers share their thoughts with the assembled crowd. And I was very humbled and honored to be invited as one of those speakers. Obviously, they wanted to have the land commissioner candidates who are of like mind, liberty-loving, freedom-loving, and history-appreciating candidates to be a part of this rally. And so as a land commissioner candidate, myself and 3 other land commissioner candidates will be present there and giving our thoughts. The one land commissioner candidate who is conspicuously absent, of course, is the one who is causing the most trouble for people right now. The one who has caused such a stir, such a ruckus with his proposals to reimagine the Alamo and to create a scenario where the Alamo no longer completely represents the very point in time when it became the symbol of liberty in the great state of Texas that it's always been for 182 years now.
I guess I have a hard time coming to grips with people who have an insatiable desire to change things. For example, they're imagining the Alamo cenotaph. I've never seen that word before. Where'd that word come from?
Cenotaph?
Yeah, we seem to be inventing words that nobody's heard of before.
Well,
maybe I'm
sorry
just
to interrupt.
Maybe I'm just dumb and uneducated or whatever you want to call me, but why can't they just say the Alamo location or that something I ought to understand?
Okay, let me clarify what I meant there, because I apologize. I may not have been completely clear there. The cenotaph is the memorial on the property of the Alamo that is specifically designed to commemorate those who gave their lives and paid the ultimate sacrifice for liberty by dying in the Battle of the Alamo, whether they were Tennesseans like Davy Crockett, Texians, Tejanos. Those folks, they only have one memorial. It is the Texas version of the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, and that is positioned just outside the Alamo, and so that's a rallying point, if you will. And currently, one of the proposals from the current land commissioner and the city council of San Antonio is to physically move that memorial to another location off the grounds of the Alamo. And that is one of the key issues that we're dealing with.
Are these the same people that want to destroy all the monuments of Robert E. Lee or anything like that? Is this similar to, I think it was Russia or the Nazis in Germany, whoever, that they just set out to destroy all of our historic heroes, memories, whatever, and replace it with the modern, what do I say? I don't know, but I get so upset about people that want to destroy history. When you destroy, why?
That's a great question. I don't know why people want to change history. I'm a big appreciation of history myself, with my own personal family going back genealogically to the Mayflower, and having a great-grandfather who served in the Navy and is buried in Arlington Cemetery. So I have a great appreciation for these things. And it frustrates and annoys me as well. And I appreciate, I can hear in your voice the pain that these kinds of things are causing. And to be honest with you, I believe that I don't know who on the San Antonio City Council is directly responsible for these things, but they have had a number of name changes and monument changes in San Antonio that have been related to Confederate leaders such as Robert E. Lee, and so those people specifically on the San Antonio City Council, I would see where someone could say that they are trying to use this to hide and change history. Absolutely. I think personally, the current land commissioner, who has a really famous last name, is doing it because he sees it as part of his overall reimagining of the entire Alamo area, and he sees the cenotaph specifically as simply being in the way of recreating the battlefield, as he likes to call it. And to be honest with you, I appreciate the desire to expand the plaza in front of the Alamo to include the whole battlefield. I have very little problem with that part. But when you want to remove what is essentially the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier for Texans and put it someplace else, I have a problem with that. A very big problem with that.
I've got a real problem with that and the insatiable desire for change. You know, why do you want to change everything that has made America what it is? I keep repeating, and I'm sorry for that, but what was the first thing Barack Obama said he wanted to do? He wanted to fundamentally change America. Well, is he just part of a group that is spreading that wants to fundamentally change America, change Texas, change the Alamo, change everything that America stands for? Do they want to destroy America down and bring up something else from the ashes? Is that what their plan is? I don't know.
I don't either, but I do know that it's very frustrating to me when the current land commissioner spent the majority of his life outside of the state of Texas and yet somehow is elected to manage, you know, these parts of Texas that are core to our very being as Texans. And he immediately upon election 4 years ago was doing everything he could to change that. So what his motivation is, I try not to pretend to see in the man's hearts and know what their motivation is. That's God's job. But by their fruits you shall know them, right? And his fruit is such that he wants to definitely fundamentally change the way people interact with the Alamo.
Well, and I asked you the question, who is God's instrument on this earth at this time? It's us. So, you know, if you want to question his motivation, I would say sick 'em. Go ahead on. Somebody better be questioning it. You know, well, I'm not going to judge what's going to happen to him when he crosses that old big river. That's God's job. But I have at least part of the responsibility of figuring out what's going on if I want to try to do my part to save America and freedom and liberty and things that we hold dear in this country. So,
well, I can definitely appreciate what you're saying there, and I think if I didn't feel that there were some issues that needed to be immediately addressed with this particular office, I wouldn't be running for this office.
Right.
And so I think by simply stepping forward and declaring my candidacy, I am giving my opinion of what the current land commissioner is really doing, because I don't believe he's doing a good job. And this is my way of pushing back, my way of saying, no more. We are done with people coming into Texas and messing with Texas. Don't mess with Texas.
Well, you know, people like yourself, we don't need to apologize for standing, and you're not, but we don't need to apologize for standing up, trying to preserve history and freedom and liberty, Because what did the boys at the Alamo do? What were they standing for? They weren't standing up for communism. They were standing up for freedom and liberty. And we should honor what they did. We should not try to destroy what they did. Don't get me started on that.
I agree with you completely on that matter, sir.
Well, I think that throughout history, they stood up and did what they did because it needed to be done. The old saying, if not now, when? If not me, who? Well, that might apply to you running for land commissioner or me being on this radio or whatever it is, but somebody has got to stand up for what's right because it's what's right. So I applaud your efforts to try to stand up, as I do anyone else who is standing for freedom and liberty.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
You might announce again your name and...
Sure thing. So my name is Andy Pryor. It's spelled Prior, as in prior to now. We've never spoken before, Mr. Tatum. And I'm running for Texas Land Commissioner. Now, I'm choosing a different path than what is, quote, the norm here in Texas. I come from a very Republican background. My parents were precinct chairs in the 80s in the Reagan administration up in the DFW area, went to the state convention down at Corpus Christi, things like that. But over the years, I've seen where the Republican Party has deviated and failed to follow through on their promises and failed to follow their own platform. And so I look around here in Texas and I see that we don't have the ability currently to have freedom of association and form political parties and seek political ballot access and electoral ballot access the way that we should. And so I'm working with an independent group called America's Party of Texas, and we are seeking ballot access this year here in Texas. And assuming we get the signatures we need, starting in March, ending in May, then I will be on the ballot in November, and I will have bypassed the money-driven slugfest that is the Republican primary. And assuming that the current land commissioner wins the primary, which when you've got a 3-to-1 money advantage over all of your opponents combined, and you have a pretty famous last name, it seems pretty reasonable to expect that he'll win the primary, and I'll be the insurance policy, so to speak, on the November ballot in that scenario.
Well, and you've kind of struck a nerve with me. I'm getting really tired of people with the name recognition and lots of money buying their way into office because we assume it's their office. Like Hillary Clinton, she assumed that it was hers. She assumed that she would be the next president. Because of the last name and all the money that she got from selling her office as Secretary of State. Andy, I sure do appreciate your taking time to be with us today.
My pleasure. I've got a Facebook page and a Twitter account, both of which are Andy Pryor TX. I would appreciate anyone in the Central Texas area to reach out to me and ask me questions about the Land Commissioner's office. With my background in education and understanding of finance, I think those are the two biggest issues, second to the Alamo, that the Land Commissioner has to deal with. And I want to work with people on figuring out how to solve the problems that the current Land Commissioner has created.
Well, and tell us one more time about how to get this from the Texas Freedom Force, the announcement of this meeting in San Antonio on the 23rd.
That's correct. So this is Texas Freedom Force is a statewide organization that is hosting the Remember the Alamo rally Friday night, February 23rd, 5 p.m. in front of the Alamo at the Cenotaph. We will have a remembrance time, and they've got a Facebook page where you can get all the details, list of speakers, everything you need.
Well, and I would encourage everyone to get this this information about this meeting because, like I say, this is too long for me to read on the radio. But there's a lot of good information here that explains what they're trying to do with the Alamo. And like I say, what turns me green is when I'm reading down through here and I hear a reference to UNESCO. Now, UNESCO is part of the United Nations. I don't know what in the cat hair UNESCO would have to do with the Alamo in San Antonio, Texas, but it sure does get me riled up to think that there are people, progressives, whatever you want to call them, that wants to turn the Alamo over to the United Nations. I don't see how you can call yourself a Texan and want to do that. But at any rate, Andy, I appreciate you being on.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Well, you be careful out there.
You too.
Okay. Thank you, Andy. And I think it's about time to go to break. We've got to try to pay a few bills around here, so y'all hang on. We'll be right back. Okay, let's talk about some Chinese food here, folks. If you want to talk about some good food, Dynasty Chinese Restaurant is the place for you to go. You'll always receive super customer service and delicious food at Dynasty. It's a Temple favorite for a dine-in, buffet, takeout, or delivery. Dynasty is family-owned and operated. They are strong believers in freedom and liberty and are avid supporters of this show. So give them a call at 778-4434, 254-778-4434 to make a reservation or just take your better half out there for a date night or just a place to order for delivery for that quiet night at home after a long day. Or if you're more tech savvy, I guess, than me, place your order online at www.dynastychineserestaurant.com. They're located at 2501 Airport Road in Temple. 2501 Airport Road in Temple. You can also visit them on Facebook at Dynasty Delivery. Okay, folks, Academy Paint and Body. That's owned and operated by some very patriotic people that are strong supporters of this show. Now, I say that because I go in there and visit with them for a minute, and they say, let me get a checkbook. They offer a full and complete paint and body shop with free estimates and 45 years of combined experience. They know how to fix your car. They offer roadside assistance 24/7, emergency service, including towing. You know, should that dadgum deer run out in front of you and you hit them at midnight or whatever, maybe your teenager gets in a jam or whatever at work, they offer roadside assistance, tire changes, even car lockouts. But lock out your keys in the car, well, give them a holler and they'll come out there and help you. They got a wrecker. Whatever the problem is with your vehicle, they'll work hard to help ease the frustration. Get your vehicle repaired and back on the road. Give RC and Lance a holler at Academy Paint and Body. Their phone number out there is 982-0047. That's 254-982-0047. Now, they're located at 20020 North Highway 95. That's in Little River Academy. So give them a holler, and they'll get your car fixed up. Okay, folks, here we are back on the air. You're back on with the Common Sense with Conn call-in talk show. So if you want to call in and talk, well, the number here is 773-1400. And I think we have a caller that wants to talk. So, yes, caller, go ahead.
Yes, sir. My name's Raymond, and I sure didn't want to get through there, Conn, to ask that land commissioner a question, but he took off too quick on me.
Right.
So I'm going to ask you the question, and it's not anything pertaining anything bad or nothing. It's just a question. I just like to have a straight answer, common sense answer. That why is it that when these people run for office, you heard that saying silver-tongued devil, they get out there and they say that. Now, I'm not talking about this commissioner because he's running, but I'm just making a suggestion. Why do these people say this and this and this, and then later on down the line they get bought off, and then they want to destroy the whole country? That they get in there and they tell the people this and they say this and this, and that we believe them and we have faith in them because we believe that they want to help this country to do right, to help everybody proceed. But then in the long run, all they do is just destroy everything, and that's what I don't understand about this.
Well, that's why I said to him, I don't intend to judge anyone, but I am curious about what people's motives are. Whether it's a land commissioner or a county commissioner or whatever it may be, what are their motives? What is their end game? The people that want to destroy Robert E. Lee or whoever, what's their purpose? What's their purpose? What? Excuse me. What is their goal? What do they want to do? Where do they want to take this?
Yes, sir, and I just wanted to mention to you that I got on there too late. I was trying to get through there, and the phone just rang and rang and rang, and I never could get through there, to talk to that guy. But I heard a little bit of what they were saying, but you are right. History is history. Sometimes it's bad and sometimes it's good. And concerning the Alamo, they ought to just leave that alone, for as many years as that place has been there, and people visiting there from all over the country, and all of these statues of Confederate Army. You see, people don't understand that these Confederate soldiers had family here in the United States, and they got family here that, the people died for what they believed in back in them days, and these are soldiers like they are now soldiers, and they want to destroy history. Whether it's good or bad, it's history, and that's what I don't understand. But I'm not going to go on and talk about no more about this, Mr. Conn. You got your program to go. I'm pretty sure there's other callers that want to come in there to speak to you. Thank you for allowing me to get on here and say what I had to say, and you have yourself a good day, and God bless you, sir.
Well, Raymond, you be careful out there. And I apologize. I've got some kind of allergy or something that got me all choked up here. But I guess me talking about the Alamo gets me all choked up. Me talking about the destruction of Robert E. Lee's image of all of our heroes, Washington, D.C., George Washington, Thomas Jefferson. There is this move to destroy the memory and image of all these people that made America what it is. I heard someone had a caller call in, and he said, well, America was built on the backs of slaves. That is not true. That is so not true. America was built on the backs of Germans and Irishmen and Polanders and Czechs and Bohemians, whatever you want to call them, Hispanics, blacks, a lot of different colored of people. And it was not built solely on the backs of one particular group of people. They certainly contributed to the building of America, but America was not built by one group of people. It was built by, and in fact, I read not too long ago, the largest demographics of people in America until 1955 was Germans. And Germans, they did a lot of building, a lot of innovation. it wasn't that many years ago that the best guns were built in Germany. The best optics were built in Germany. Things like that. So I'm just saying to believe that America was built on the backs of any one group that's trying to destroy the image of all the other groups that it really was built on. Oh, I apologize for my throat, but anyway, I think we got a caller on the line, and yes, caller, go ahead.
Good afternoon. This is Rick. I'll try to let you save your voice for a minute because I got a little bit to say.
Good.
Okay, I think, am I mistaken, or is George P. Bush our land commissioner right now?
No, he is now, yes.
Okay, that explains a lot. Now, I'm not a fan of the Bushes. They are globalists, and, it's obvious, I mean, I don't want to go into that. But that one reason that politicians stab us in the back is because they run as conservatives when they're actually not conservative. They talk a good game, and they sound like they believe in our values and the things that we grew up learning and stuff about America.
But Rick, that's why I asked the question, what is their motivation? What is their end goal? What do they want to do? That's what you're saying.
Power, money.
Yes.
And I don't know why people want to destroy America. I can't understand. I can understand why the monarchs of the world and the dictators of the world want to destroy America. That I can understand. But why Americans want to destroy America and make us like those other countries, I will never understand.
Well,
Why don't they go to Venezuela if they love socialism so much?
Yes, absolutely. Move. Them airplanes fly out here every day going to other countries. If you want to change America to that country, why don't you fly to that country and stay there? Take your suitcase with you when you go. You think it's so great over there.
And also, maybe we do live in a we do live in a global economy, but that doesn't mean that we have to have open borders and just let everybody in who wants to come in here without any regard for what their motivation is for coming here. And that doesn't mean that we have to adopt the governments, the philosophies of other countries that don't believe the same way that we do, about freedom and liberty and, the right to due process, things like that. There are places on this earth where if we were to talk like we're talking right now on the airwaves, there would be police swarming to us and arresting us, and we'd disappear and never be seen again.
Well, yeah, they'd march you outside and say, "Get on your knees," and they'd cut your head off. And we want to bring those people here.
Or do we want to be like them?
I used the analogy before, and I'll do it again real quickly, Rick, if I can. I've got a barn swallow nest on my front porch. It's a little mud nest built in a half circle, and when that little hen has them eggs and they hatch out, those little bitty baby birds, they will get up on the side of that nest and poop on the floor. They have got sense enough not to poop in their own nest. How does that make them a whole lot smarter than the people who will continue to do it in our own country? Does that little bitty bird have more brains than some of the people that want to change America? They want to do it in their own home. That bird's got more brains than some of us do.
I know, and birds aren't very smart.
No, but those are. They're smarter than some of us.
Hey, before I go, I want to mention the horrible thing that happened in Florida on Valentine's Day real quick. I don't know. From what I've learned recently, there was no reason that had to happen. Somebody called the authorities a week ago. It said that guy was dangerous and he was going to kill somebody and he was going to shoot up a school. And nobody did anything.
Well, Rick, I am beginning to ask the question. I know it sounds like paranoia or whatever you want to call it, but do you really think the Las Vegas shooting was just accidental? Do you think the Florida shooting just happened? Is there something causing these things to happen?
All I can say is, and I'll let everybody, whoever's listening, come to their own conclusion about what I'm about to say. But when you see those texts that those FBI agents were making to each other about what they think of pro-life people
and Trump
and stuff like that. Now, can you imagine what they think of people who believe in the Second Amendment or the Constitution or the Bill of Rights? Maybe we have people in our government that shouldn't be there, and it's worse than we think it is because there's something really smells rotten about this.
Well,
and I'm going to let you go, Conn, because that really makes me mad just thinking about it. And I feel bad about all the people who lost their lives.
Well, you hate to get stirred up, Rick, but on the other hand, we had better get stirred up. If we're going to stop this kind of thing, we better get mad about it and talk to our politicians, or I don't know. But
hey, before I go, I got to say one more thing about this investigation against Trump and Russian collusion. That thing that they just came out with about indicting those Russians is just useless. It's idiocy. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to let you go, Conn.
Okay. Thank you, Rick, for the call. Well, he done got me stirred up now. You know, why is it the FBI dropped the ball? Were they so busy trying to find something to get against Donald Trump that they did not look into this situation that wound up getting 17 people killed? And I think right now our man is saying you have got to go to break. He said we got bills to pay. So caller, hang on. We'll be right back. Okay, folks, let's talk about chickens and peacocks. Asgard Farm Poultry is a family-owned and operated farm located in Lott and in Temple. They raise and sell chickens and peacocks of exceptional quality. These are not hatchery birds. They are highly productive, big, dual-purpose birds, so you can have large, beautiful colored eggs for your family breakfast or a nice-sized chicken for dinner. If you're not local, they ship chicks and hatchlings eggs all over the great state of Texas. They also raise some gorgeous, rare, and endangered chicken breeds. They invite you to learn about them and enrich your flock with these incredible birds while helping to continue these breeds' existence. Ask for Tina Gary, and her number is at 210-215-7610. Don't let the 210 throw you off because they've been here for about 12 years in this area. Okay, their website is www.asgard, that's S-Z-G-A-R-D, farmpoultry.com. And of course, they're on Facebook. Their email is chickenmath@asgardfarmpoultry.com. Give them a holler. Okay, folks, let's talk a little bit about getting your business or your home electrified or air conditioned. Dean Electric and Air Conditioning are an experienced business serving the greater Austin, Killeen area with professional, top-quality electrical services, including electrical construction, electrical service upgrades, and home wiring. The AC side of their company services many brands of air conditioning as well as providing total new installations. They do exemplary work, have friendly customer service, and reasonable rates. So if you need any type of electrical wiring or AC work, give them a holler. Their offices are located in Killeen at 502 South 2nd Street, and their phone number there is 254-371-5016. That's 254-371-5016. If you're in Williamson County or Travis County, you can call them at 512-694-3440. That is 3440, area code 512. Give old John up there a holler, and he'll get your electricity going for you. Okay, folks, here we are back on the radio, and there's Willie Nelson saying, don't let your babies grow up to be cowboys. And whatever you do, don't let them go out there playing cowboys and Indians and holler, remember the Alamo. My goodness gracious alive, that would probably be against it, not be politically correct to remember the Alamo or remember Robert E. Lee or remember George Washington or anything else. Why are we trying to destroy all of the historical things that made America what it is? Well, we got a caller that's going to tell me all about that. Go ahead on, caller.
Hey, Conn, this is David Hodges. How you doing?
Well, hey, David, how you doing?
I'm good. And I grew up playing cowboys and Indians and war and all sorts of stuff. And, we had toy guns and and BB guns and everything, and we survived quite nicely. I don't know why that today in the world we have to protect our children from all this. I mean, it's ridiculous. And that, you and Rick were talking about the shooting, and in my opinion, and this is my opinion, but if the kids of today were disciplined like we were disciplined back in the day, we wouldn't be having school shootings. I mean, I went to a small high school in West Central Texas, and we had people that drove into the parking lot with guns and gun racks in their pickup, and we never had a school shooting. Nobody even thought about it.
Well, you never had one stolen either.
Exactly. And we left it. You didn't lock your truck pretty much too when you drove to the beach. That was that kind of deal. That's the kind of way it was.
Well, I'd tell you a story about me going to high school in Houston, but I'm afraid I'd offend somebody. But when when I was in high school, and it was a pretty rough part of town, and there was guns involved in the high school, I never saw a gunfight. I never saw a gun discharged in school. I never saw a knife fight. Saw a few fist fights. That stuff didn't exist, back in the 50s. What makes it so prevalent today? Oh, could it be some of the movies and the social media? Could that be maybe one root cause? I don't know.
Something? I grew up watching John Wayne shoot people, the Lone Ranger. The Lone Ranger only shot guns out of the bad guy's hands. But the point was, we all knew, and, I watched Batman and the Wild Wild West, and there was always fist fights and things like that in that. But the point was, and we talked about this, I think, on the Lynn show the other day about, cartoons and things like that. They were violent, but they were fun. Everybody knew that wasn't the way it was, and everybody knew. But I think it's discipline, Conn. I really do. I think it's the fact that nobody, and not nobody, there's a lot of good parents out there, but there are parents out there that really don't discipline their kids. They want to be friends with their kids. They don't want to be parents. And that's the problem. Yes, I want to be friendly with my children. I always did. But when it came down to it, I'm in charge, not you.
Yeah, but when you said no, you meant no.
Dang right. And I'm sure that's the way you are. I've met some of your kids, and they're good people. So, that's the way it is.
I think I can explain a little bit of what's going on. When we first had kids, there was a book floating around called Child Psychology. And in the book, the author said, never ever tell your child no, because it'll create some kind of a complex in the little kids. Well, I didn't buy that idea then, but I guess a lot of parents did. Another thing about that same period of time was a guy named Abbie Hoffman was touring the university campuses giving speeches, and one of his things he said was, never trust anyone over 30. Go home and kill your mother, kill your daddy, that kind of stuff. I better shut up here.
No, I understand.
Yeah,
I understand exactly what you're saying. I think everybody in the audience does too.
The people that heard that now are 50 years old with kids, and they're the leaders. But they heard that stuff, and I guess it was embedded in their brain. Well, now you've got parents that can't say no to their child, and you've got leaders that were students of the Abbie Hoffman movement. And one more thing I'll bring up, and then I'll shut up. I had someone tell me that they went to the teachers' college, I think in Nacogdoches. There was a student there, and she said the professor, the psychology professor, told her, or told the student body, that if it feels good, do it. If you're washing dishes and you want to break a dish, throw it down and break it. If it feels good, do it. If somebody's walking across at the red light and you want to run over them, well, just put your car in gear and run over them. If it feels good, do it. So, did the feel-good movement, did it take place then, and now it's reaching the point where if the man wants to go down and kill 17 people at school, if it feels good, just go kill them. What happened to discipline, character, integrity, morality? What happened to all of those things that we used to teach our kids?
Well, I totally agree with what you're saying. What I think is, and this has to start. We talk about the schools, and the schools are not. We've got to get something going in the schools. But if we're really going to change society, we've got to start with parenting.
At home, you bet.
The parents are the ones.
Amen.
They've got to take a step up and discipline your kids. And I know it's hard. Child Protective Services, and things like that. Oh, you spanked your child? Well, yeah, I spanked my child. I disciplined that boy's behind, but I didn't beat him. I just spanked him. And my dad spanked me. I spanked my son. And you know something? I'm pretty proud of my son and my daughter. They turned out pretty well. And that's not beating. That is discipline. And, that's what we're missing now, I think.
Well, it is, David, and you really put it in perspective here, I think. We didn't beat our kids with an axe handle. Have you ever heard the old saying, well, I'll be switched? Well, what is a switch? Yeah. A switch is a broomweed that you pulled up out there in the front yard and switched your little 3-year-old kid with.
My dad used a leather belt.
Yeah, we started out with a rolled-up newspaper or a broomweed switch or something, and graduated to a leather belt. When they get 10, 12 years old, you don't want to use a broomweed switch. You got to get their attention. But all those things that the new child psychologists or the new progressives, they want to put us in jail when we even talk about that kind of stuff. But it worked. It worked. And what we're doing now ain't working, folks. It just ain't
it's not
working.
Even coming close. This kid that shot those people in Florida, 17 dead, 14 injured. This guy, first of all, the FBI screwed up. And second of all, the local police had been called to hit that person and that family's house 39 times over the last 2 years. They just let it continue. And I'm not asking for the government to take over. That's the problem with the parents. That's not. But the FBI, on the other hand, didn't do anything. And the FBI here lately is showing us that they are pretty much worthless because they've gone progressive.
Well, David, let me ask you a question. Given the way they handled that young man who was a threat, are you comfortable with the fact that we should give up all of our guns and allow the the police to provide all the protection and security that we need?
Yeah, well, when seconds matter, the police are just a minute away.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's one of those deals. No, of course not. I mean, I want everybody. I wish everybody was armed. I mean, it would be better because in a case like this, if they had been a couple of teachers that had guns, they might have could have stopped some of it. Now, I'm not saying they could have stopped every one of them because the shooter's going to start out and he's going to shoot, and if he kills somebody, and that's tragic. But 17 and 14, I mean, there's 31 people that got shot, and somebody could have done something, but there was nobody enabled to do that.
Well, look at the coach. The coach didn't have a gun, so he used his body, and now he's dead.
And he's a hero, though. I mean,
yeah.
that's and again, I said this, I think, on the air on Thursday or Friday, that this guy, it doesn't surprise me that it was a football coach that did that. This is not somebody that's teaching multiculturalism.
But
this was a guy that it was a stand-up guy.
Let's compare the unarmed football coach to the armed barefooted plumber down in South Texas that had a gun. Now he went out there barefooted and he stopped the bad guy because he had a gun.
Mm-hmm. But the Democrats sit around and whine and moan and say, "Oh, it's all the guns' fault." It's not the guns' fault. It's the it's the society's fault, and the way we're doing things in our society is making this happen more and more.
Well,
and that's that.
That and I want to pick on the news media too.
There's that too.
And the Democrat Party. Let me quote: was it Eric Holder or some other good bona fide Democrat? He said, "Let's never let a good crisis go to waste."
Oh, that's Ron Emanuel, the Chicago mayor.
Well, we're seeing that right now. Boy, they're using this crisis to promote gun control. They're doing the same thing. So, and I guess we got to go. David, I appreciate your call.
Top the hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, hey, great to talk to you. I'll visit with you later.
Thank you.
Your Fox News station in Central Texas. News Radio 1400 KTEM AM. Temple, Belton, Killeen, Fort Hood.
War of words over the Russia indictment. I'm Roger Stern, Fox News. National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster says this week's indictment of 13 Russian nationals proves that Russia interfered in the 2016 election. And he even joked about it at a security conference in Munich.
I'm surprised there are any Russian cyber experts available based on how active most of them have been against and undermining our democracies in the West.
But Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, speaking through an interpreter, had quite a different reaction to the Russian indictments.
Until we see the facts, everything else is just blabber. I'm sorry for this expression.
A grand jury found that the Russians posed as American citizens on social media to advocate for various presidential candidates, in many cases Donald Trump. More funerals today for some of the 17 victims killed in Wednesday's Florida high school shooting. And for many students, there's anger at President Trump, who paid a hospital visit to some of the victims yesterday, praising their courage, but saying nothing about gun violence in this country. As for accused shooter Nicholas Cruz, there's a chance authorities can avoid a trial.
Police say he has confessed and says that he will plead guilty if the death penalty is off the table.
Fox's Rob Schmidt outside the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland. The White House is standing behind FBI Director Christopher Wray after Florida Governor Rick Scott called for Wray's resignation. This followed word that the Bureau mishandled a tip last month about the Florida shooter. Deputy White House Press Secretary Hogan Gidley.
President Trump put Director Wray in his position a few months ago to try and clean some of the things up in the FBI, and we have confidence that he'll do just that.
Gidley appearing this morning on Fox and Friends. Attorney General Jeff Sessions promises to investigate what happened. The tip was never passed on to the Miami field office. Fox News, fair and balanced.
I could tell my milk cow, I could tell by the way she lows. If you see my milk cow, please drive her on home. 'Cause I ain't had no milk and butter, woo, since my cow's been gone. Well, you gotta treat me right, day by day. Get out your little prayer book.
Some of that good old Texas music there. We just can't resist the temptation to play some of that good old Bob Wills music every now and then. But I think we got a caller, so I guess we got to cut old George off. Or that might have been Bob Wills. I think it was Bob Wills. Probably Leon Roush or Tommy Duncan. At any rate, we got a good caller, so we're going to listen to him for a while. Yes, caller, go ahead.
Hey, Conn, how you doing today?
Well, I'm just doing fairly well.
Man, I tell you what, I'm going to follow up that music you had on, and then for me to try to say something important, because that was some good old music right there.
Yeah. Well, I bet you can make a good stab at it, so.
Well, I was going to say, it's been about 10 days ago, somewhere around there. I was listening to another one of the talk radio shows, and I heard a gentleman's voice on there that rang clear and rang true to a good friend I call every now and then from out here in Copper's Cove, the Five Hills.
Yeah.
And it was Conn. It was Conn on another radio show. I thought, I know that voice.
You mean I can run but I can't hide?
Evidently so, because, some things, when some people talk, E.F. Hutton used to say when he talked, everybody listened. In these parts, Conn talks on his show or somebody else's, we all listen. Just make sure you know that, Conn.
Well, thank you for that.
We appreciate you. We really do. It's a sad, tragic day today, for the children and the families there in Florida. And
yes,
the one thing I was proud that our president done, I live right next to Fort Hood here. I've been here since the early 60s. And every flag I see is at half-mast.
Yes, it should be.
Every flag. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. They should be. And for the obvious reason, the apparent thing is there's families that are suffering right now. That whole school has got to be in shock, the whole community. But the one thing that, I hope everybody pulls together for is for them families. And the second is to hold the people accountable and responsible that allowed that situation to happen. I know it's real soon behind the shootings, Conn. We don't need to put no more gun laws out there. And the people that are in the know, they know that. Yes, sir.
But look at what the news media is trying to do, and the liberal left. Just what?
Oh, yes, sir.
What they said before: never let a good crisis go to waste. So
yeah.
they're going to use this crisis to promote gun legislation.
Yes, sir.
They're not interested in freedom. They're interested in taking away all the guns, because the prerequisite to taking America is to take the guns.
Yes, sir.
And that's their goal.
They're going to try that, and I think you know as well as I do, there's a whole bunch of people who will never let that happen. And the thing is, there was a lot of people that were in the know that had the opportunity to prevent this tragic accident, and because they're so wrapped up in whatever it is they're wrapped up in, I'm specifically talking about law enforcement, and I'll just leave it at that for whatever level you want to put it at, Conn. They could have prevented this, and I really don't want to get I don't want to say too much about this right now because there's a grieving process that needs to take place.
Yes.
But the police, the law enforcement failed. They failed terribly.
Yeah, I could not agree more with you, and I know what you're trying to say, and you don't want to say it, and I understand. We have to support law enforcement, because without them, you're talking about anarchy. So we have to support them, but we also have to call a spade a spade. If you've got good cops, call them good cops. If you got a bad one, get them the heck out of here.
Yes, sir.
Let's don't circle the wagons and protect the bad ones.
Yes, sir.
And there's not that many. It wouldn't take that much to clean house. But whether you're cleaning house in Washington, D.C. or at the local police station, it doesn't matter. If the house needs cleaning, clean it.
Yes, sir. Because if you don't, and situations like this come up, sometimes there has to be a spark to make sure that it doesn't happen again. And that is not going to be by trying to take guns away from law-abiding citizens, people that can legally have whatever type, whatever level of function weapon they want. There's times that, bad people, if you want to call them psychotic maniacs, whatever, they get a hold of a weapon, they're going to do things they don't need to do.
But they're playing on our emotion as a population. If somebody shot someone with a single-shot .22 Remington squirrel rifle, on the news the next day it would say it was probably an AR-15.
Naturally.
They're playing to our emotion, and they want to create hysteria with emotion. It's an AR-15. Well, there's a bad use with an AR-15, but there's also a lot of good uses. And
yes, sir.
Now, since you brought it up, you got me started, and you got to be careful doing that. But let's compare a 19-year-old with an AR-15.
Right.
The one in Florida killed 17 people. Okay, and I'm not sure he had an AR-15, but they said he did. But let's compare that to another 19-year-old with another AR-15. It happened in Oklahoma about 3 months ago. Three folks broke in the front door. They had knives and brass knuckles, and they were not in there to have a prayer meeting. They were in there to beat or kill people. But there was another 19-year-old, and he had another AR-15, and he killed all three of them. And his family was not beaten to death. They were not robbed or raped or whatever. So let's compare the two.
Yes.
Two 19-year-olds with two AR-15s. One was good, one was bad. But
yes, sir.
There's two sides to every story.
That there is, Conn. And number one, thank you for having me on your show. And I was really glad to hear you on the other talk radio. And Conn, keep playing that national anthem for us, and let's keep saluting our flag. I appreciate you, sir. You have a good day. It's always good talking to you.
Well, I appreciate those good comments. I really do, because it's folks like us need a little encouragement every now and then, and that was a good, encouraging kind of a call. Bless your heart. Sometimes we wonder if we're doing any good or if we're just talking to hear our jaws flap. But calls like that, it's like hollering sick 'em to a dog. And I appreciate that call. I really do. And I think we got another one. I'm not real sure about that, but I think we do. Yes, caller, go ahead.
Hey, you talking to me, man?
Man, yeah, go ahead on. I know who you are. Maybe I'll just hang up the phone. I know you. What are you doing, Floyd?
Oh, man, I tell you what. They just can't get it through their head that the more guns, less crime. And if we had, if those teachers were armed, they could have stopped that. That's something that we've been saying for years, and it's a truth that's so obvious that I don't think anyone can overlook it. And I think there's a little town in West Texas that arms their teachers, and I don't know why in the world we can get it through our heads that we ought to arm teachers, and that's the thing that would stop this thing.
Well, Floyd, to you and I, it's very easy to see the common sense of that. To the previous caller, to Rick and people like that, we can see the common sense of this. But let me quote a scripture, and I don't do it very often, but there's a scripture that says, "There is none so blind as he who will not see."
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that scripture apply in this case?
Absolutely, it does. Absolutely. And it will not see, because that solution has been made over and over again, but you believe everybody that's got any sense, and they just will not do it. That one little town is the only town that I've ever heard of that I think Claude out there in West Texas is the name of the town. But anyway, it's a little bitty town, and they're the only ones I've ever heard of that does it. And that's the solution right there.
Now, what they do, Floyd?
They arm the teachers.
Oh, okay. You're kind of breaking up there, Floyd. That's the reason I asked.
Yeah, I'm going down the road. I'll have to get off.
Well, I don't know if we need to arm every teacher. But certainly there needs to be people in schools that can defend themselves and the students. But on the other hand, let's keep this in perspective. There is not a school shooting every day, as the news media would like for us to believe. Now, if there's one school shooting, it's too many. But I keep asking the question, what motivated that man to do that? What motivated the man in Las Vegas to kill all those people? What's behind this? What keeps ringing in my ears is the movie Manchurian Candidate, where they had brainwashed the man in Korea, and they could call him on the telephone and he would just start killing whoever. But when Chris Kyle was killed up at the shooting range there close to Dallas, I asked the question then, did the shooter receive a phone call about 10 seconds before he shot Chris Kyle in the back? Because Chris Kyle was trying to help the man. He was being there as a good Samaritan. He was helping him. So what makes someone want to kill the man that's helping you? I don't know. And I'm not saying he received a phone call. I don't know, but I'm just saying that movie sure brings up a lot of questions in my mind. Because it is not human nature to want to walk in and kill everybody in a school. That is not natural. There's something wrong here.
Yeah. Mad as I get, I don't even want to do that.
No. Yeah, and
well, I better let you go. I'm on the highway here. I'm gonna have a wreck, so I won't shut up.
Yeah, don't run over somebody out there, Floyd.
Okay, bro. Bye-bye.
You be careful. Floyd and I went to school together in high school in Houston, Texas. And when I say something about what happened in Houston, there's my witness. Back in those days, like David was saying a while ago, half the pickups in the schoolyard had a gun rack in the back window, and it was full of guns. And you never saw a school shooting. And I might better shut up, but a lot of people carried a gun in high school in those days. And Floyd can testify to that. And I knew a fellow that carried a gun all the time. But anyway, we got a caller. Yes, caller, go ahead.
Hey, how you doing, Conn? A good friend of yours. I mean, not a good friend, but I've been listening to you for a while. I just recently retired here from Fort Hood. Still in the area here in Harker Heights, and I just like to say that I'm an African American man. I voted for Trump. I think Trump is doing a great job for our country. I think he's doing everything that he can, and I know he loves our country. One of the things that I noticed that's becoming a trend as far as these mass shootings is concerned, it's called a Hearts and Minds campaign. This is something that the U.S. government has done for a while. We've been doing it in Afghanistan. We've been doing it in Iraq. And one of the main things is to create these incidents to cause mass hysteria in order to get the people to basically do what they need them to do.
To react.
Correct.
Right.
To react out of hysteria. And the thing is one of the main things a part of the plan is, how can we control everybody? The only way we can control everybody is if we take away the weapons, take away the Second Amendment. And that's what they're doing. That's what's going on right now.
See, you've answered my question.
Yeah.
Thank you for calling in, and thank you especially because you are a good black American.
Thank you.
I really like to have more Hispanic, more black callers, and the reason being, we have got to change the minds of some minority groups.
Sure.
Get their mind off of being a victim and get them to thinking about being, as you are, a good, patriotic, freedom-loving American. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're black, green, white, or purple. You're an American, and I appreciate your call because you're doing what I hope a lot of people will do. You're recognizing the truth for what the truth is.
It is. And it just one more thing I want to say here, too, before I let you guys go. About 25 years ago or so, they made a film. It's called Demolition Man. I think it had Sandra Bullock, Wesley Snipes, Sylvester Stallone in it. If you go back and look at that film, Conn, you will see exactly what the agenda is. Bottom line up front, in that movie, there were no weapons. In that movie, it was against the law to curse. You couldn't even you had to be politically correct. If you were not politically correct, you would have got fined.
They didn't have any rap singers, did they?
Huh?
They didn't have any rap singers, did they?
Well, I mean, but what it was a movie that was made, but it was made for the future.
Yeah.
On how the outlook of how the future need to look. And so, if you get a chance to this week, just watch that movie again. Don't look at the characters because, it got some stars in there, but look at the overall big picture and see how they push their agenda. And I tell you what, it's spot on. I think that was 25 years ago. I believe they got a 100-year plan. I think they're running a little bit behind, but they're trying to. But remember, it's a Hearts and Minds campaign, and we can't fall for it.
Well, and let me encourage you to not lose this phone number, because we need people like yourself who have observation skills. You look around and see things for what they are, and you have a good memory, and you can apply what you saw or heard 25 years ago to what's happening today. So, like I say, don't lose the phone number.
Will not.
Call back.
And I like for you to watch that film this week, and I'll call you back next week, and we'll talk some more about it.
Okay, you do that, and you just keep up the good fight. We need more.
Yes, sir.
We need. Someone said of me, or someone not long ago said, you are a good soldier in the fight for freedom. And I'm going to say to you, you weren't just a soldier at Fort Hood. You were a good soldier in the fight for freedom. So keep it up.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I really appreciate that. I really do. Thank you so much, Conn.
You're more than welcome.
All right, Conn.
Okay. That's why I just can't bring it to myself to stop this radio show. And I know I need to because of money. I need to quit doing this, but dadgum, I have a hard time wanting to stop this. I enjoy, and callers like that is another reason that I sure want to keep going. I don't make a dime out of this. It costs me money every month to do this, but that's okay. If I say something, or if a caller like that caller just called in, I don't know his name, but he brought up some good points. You create a crisis to create a hysteria, and that's how you change things, or how you take over societies. And his point was well taken. It's so are these things, do they happen accidentally, or is there a cause? Is there a plan? I don't know, but I think it's a good question. Why does someone wake up and decide to kill 58 people in Las Vegas? He's never seen those people. He don't know who they are. He just wanted to kill masses of people. Why? What causes that to happen? What caused the man to shoot Chris Kyle? You know, it just brings up the question is, what's behind this? Where's it coming from? What's causing it to happen? I think those are good questions. Another good question is, why didn't the FBI react? Why is it the Broward County Sheriff's Department got 20 phone calls or 20 tips about this shooter, but they never reacted? Why? Why is that? Why is it that if you committed some Mickey Mouse minor little incident out there in your backyard, the cops would have been all over that? But here's a man that could be a potential mass killer, and nobody reacted. Why? Why not? What's the FBI's excuse for not doing anything? I mean, if this was some casual comment that somebody made on the street corner, that's different. But this guy was all over the internet, whatever it is, YouTube or whatever it is, saying what he wanted to do. And the FBI was notified by that bail bondsman down there, Mr. Ben, I can't pronounce his last name, but anyway, he notified the FBI. And what did they do? Nothing. They interviewed the bail bondsman, but to my knowledge, they never interviewed the potential shooter, the potential mass killer. Well, could they not get their mind off of Donald Trump Russian collusion long enough to save the lives of 17 innocent people in Florida? Were they so committed to finding dirt on Donald Trump that they couldn't go out there and do what they're really supposed to be doing? I think it's a good question. And do we need to do something to correct that with the FBI? I think that so many things that are happening now, they are allowed to happen, and the crimes are not punished. Look at Hillary Clinton. How much evidence do you need against her to prosecute her and take her before a grand jury? But nothing is happening. Why? Look at her tenure in public office. Look at how many millions of dollars that she accumulated as Secretary of State. Look at the fact that when her and Bill left the White House, they stole, I mean like a thief in the night, they stole $200,000 worth of antiques, George Washington silverware, that kind of stuff. These are not good, honest people. And so if you look back at the Obama administration and Hillary Clinton, why are they not being taken before a grand jury? Why? I guess my question there is, are they not being prosecuted, investigated, whatever? Is it because they have bought off people or scared off people? And I believe that may be the case. Look at Jeff Sessions. You know, by all accounts, he's a good man. Why is he not acting? Why is he not pursuing, prosecuting the people that he has all the evidence against? Why is that? Did they buy him off or scare him off? I don't know. Why do they hate Donald Trump so bad? Could it be because they can't buy him off or scare him off? I think it's a good question. I think it's a good question. So, you know, there are those out there that you can't buy and you can't scare. So I guess the bleeding heart liberals that want to destroy America and turn it into some socialist whatever, I guess that gives them cause to really, really hate Donald Trump and people like Donald Trump. People like Trey Gowdy. People like Ted Cruz. There are some good ones out there, but they're also hard to control. So who do we put in office? We put in office people that can be bought, can be controlled. It's why I keep saying that the primary season is just ahead of us. the primary season is the time to drain the swamp. And I'm talking about draining the swamp in the House of Representatives and in the U.S. Senate and the state legislatures. If you want to help Donald Trump drain the swamp, do it during the primary. Look at the candidates' voting records. Look at what they stand for. Look at who they are. Look at who buys them. When someone donates $16 zillion to a candidate for his campaign, Mr. They own him. Don't kid yourself. They just bought him. Just like Hillary Clinton. Do you think the Russians were giving Bill Clinton $500,000 for a 20-minute speech because they liked to look at him as he was speaking? Do you think he's that pretty or has that good a speech? No. That $500 million went to buy something, and it wasn't a 20-minute speech. So do we reward these kind of people? I guess if we re-elect them, put them back in office, or don't put them in jail, then I guess we're rewarding them. When you reward bad behavior, what do you expect to get more of? That's just some old country boy logic there for you. Well, back to the gun control issue, I think that it behooves all of us to stand up against this move to confiscate guns. And believe me, that's where it's headed. That's what they would like to do. They would like to confiscate all the guns, because before you can take over America, you've got to take the guns. And that's what they would like to do. That's why Rahm Emanuel said never let a good crisis go to waste. That's why they're hollering about AR-15s, because of this school shooting, this crisis. And I apologize for my throat, but I didn't volunteer for this. It just comes on me. Some kind of an allergy out there. I don't know if it's cedar trees or weeds or what it is, but I've had it for about a month, and boy, I'm sure getting tired of it. Okay, I think we've got to go to break again. Got to pay a few bills. Y'all hang in there. We'll be right back. Let's talk about the communication system. Fulkerson Communications, they are a leader in the communications industry. Fulkerson Communications brings over 40 years of experience to provide reliable and cost-effective solutions for all of your telecommunication needs. They offer consultation, design, sale, installation, and implementation of service of phone system and specialty applications, as well as network solutions, phone system, IP setup, and structured cable, voice over internet protocol technology to small and large business. Now, all of you know that I'm not very savvy in the high-tech world, so I'm doing the best I can. So I have no idea what I just described to you, but I do know these people will do you right, and they are there for you and for the long haul if you need them. Their service area covers most of Central Texas and part of the Hill. Their phone number in Temple is 254-742-0064, and in Killeen, it's 254-698-0016. That's 698-0016 in Killeen. Call them out there and talk to them. Now, you might get Dana. Now, I know her pretty well, and whatever she tells you, that's the way it is. So give them a holler and see if they can help you. Okay, folks, let's talk a little bit about Goodwin Farm and Ranch Supply. The Goodwins are just a nice family that have raised their kids to be impressive, outstanding, patriotic young adults. It was truly a pleasure to have an intelligent conversation with an educated young person. That's their 19-year-old son out. Their family own and operate 2 feed stores. One in Moody. It's at 108th Street there in Moody, and that phone number is 254-853-8039. The second one is here in Temple out in the industrial. It's in Temple at 3600 Range Road. That's 3600 Range Road, just off of Loop 363. And that phone number is 254-773-8840. Now, they carry a wide variety of feed, different kind of brands to choose from for your equine, I guess that's horses, livestock, wildlife, and pet needs, as well as traditional farm and ranch supplies. So they got the feed. Just go by there and tell them what you need, and they'll try to get it for you. Both stores are open Monday through Friday, 8 until 6 p.m., and Saturdays, 8 a.m. until 2 p.m. Their website, if you need it, is www.goodwinfarmandranch.com. That's www.goodwinfarmandranch.com. Give them a try. Folks, here we are back on the air with Common Sense with Conn. And you know, I kind of like that old song. There's kind of a moral right there if you think about it. You know, that's cowboy he's talking about. He spent too much time on the rodeo circuit and lost his family. Well, that can sure happen to us. I know when I was first married, I was poor, broke, and destitute, and had a bunch of kids at home, and I spent all my time on the road, either driving truck, hauling cows, or doing something. But I was dispatching for the highway patrol and buying and selling cattle and hauling cows to Oklahoma to the order buyer. And I was averaging about 2 hours sleep a night. And one day my wife gave me an alternative. She said, "You can quit something or I'm a-leaving, because I'm not going to stand here and watch you kill yourself." So I did quit something. What I'm just saying, it's possible for all of us to get so involved in making a living or whatever it is we're doing to lose the family. And that may be where some people come from, like this 19-year-old shooter down there in Florida. Maybe he didn't have a father that taught him anything. Maybe he came from and I think he did come from a broken home. So it's really important to put more emphasis on the family, and the families need to accept the responsibility of raising the kids. Anyway, we got a caller. I better get off my soapbox here. Yes, caller, go ahead.
Yeah, how you doing, Conn? This is Cal.
I was wondering where you was at.
Where's that? You can go on and keep talking. You're making really good sense there. You know, I was thinking about, well, there's been so much in the news, and one of your callers had called in before, and they said today parents try to be friends with their children, which is not going to work.
No, it's not.
and they I got to be a friend. I got to go along with what they say and what the other people say in the school and all like that, and that won't work. You have to show that you're the one in control. When they do something wrong, you discipline them and go from there. You just can't be a friend to them, letting them go to. They got a big test coming up Monday, and you're gonna let them go out to some party on Saturday night.
But Cal, let me interrupt for just a minute. We were having town meetings in Montana, and town hall meetings, and anyway, we had a speaker at a meeting. She was the head of the Child Protective Services, or whatever that group was. Anyway, she spoke to us for about 30 minutes, telling us about how you're supposed to raise your kids and all this kind of stuff. And finally, old Al in the bar stood up and said, "Ma'am, how many kids do you have?" She said, "None." So my point is, sometimes all this high-powered advice you get about raising kids comes from some psychologist that never had any kids. It's kind of different when you've got kids. So anyway, I wonder sometimes where we get our advice from.
Well, that's true. That's true. They do all this research and everything, supposedly, and then they're going to tell you how to raise them and such. And, it doesn't work. And a lot of, I can't spank them and stuff. Shoot, I got my behind tore up many times.
Man,
my dad. I mean, he could whip out that leather belt that you talked about in 2 seconds and stuff. And don't let him find a hairbrush.
Yeah.
that was another one in there. One of the things I was thinking about, they're always talking about the Second Amendment, taking away guns. And it just came to me, you don't need to take away guns. I'll just put this idea out there, and maybe some of your listeners can call in. As far as narcotics, every physician, there's a way to track how much narcotics any physician is giving out.
Yeah.
Or how many. So why can't they do the same thing with bullets?
Okay.
Bullets, you can go in some places and they're on the shelf. But if bullets were put behind the shelf, and if you wanted to get, if somebody has, what is it, an AR-15, AK or whatever, AR-15, and they go in and buy 1,000 rounds of bullets, wouldn't that set off some kind of what's going on?
Well, you'd think so.
In other words, I said, what? I never hear anyone talk about having some kind of restrictions or something registered for getting bullets. If I go in and get 50 rounds, okay, it's noted and there. And somewhere down the line, if they see that Cal is going in and he got 50 here, 50 there, 50 there, 50 there, okay, what's going on?
Well, I guess
I don't know.
What always comes to mind in these kinds of debates or suggestions or whatever, there was a cartoon in the Missoula newspaper years and years ago, and the cartoon, it showed a bandit with a mask on, and they were turning loose the bandit, but they had a tree with a rope and a noose, and they were hanging the gun he used. And that kind of brings up the question, are we turning loose the criminals and prosecuting the guns? And I don't know, but I'm just saying restricting guns is not the only answer. It's the people that pull the trigger. The governor of Minnesota years ago made the statement, Jesse, I forgot his name now, but anyway, he made the statement, I've got 30 guns in my house, and none of them have ever killed anybody. So, the point being is the guy pulling the trigger. It's the gun can't operate without a man pulling the trigger.
Right. It can't operate. And it won't operate if there's no bullet in it.
Right. But how do we find and control the man? I don't know, but we got to do a better job.
Yeah. It depends on how they were brought up. this 19-year-old down there, I mean, the more you find out about what was going on in his life.
Exactly.
And he was in foster family, and something about his mother died in November, and I was wondering whether he was living by himself, but a week or two before, someone notified the FBI, so they dropped the ball big time because I guess they figured, well, he's crazy like that anyway. He's not going to. But, I mean, you know, they said he had all kinds of ammo and everything. He had to get it from some. You can buy ammo online nowadays.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go on your computer and buy ammo. But, I mean, I don't care how many guns you have. If you don't have the ammo or, you know, all of these killings that have happened before, the one in Las Vegas and other places, they always had, even the one that was in the movie theater, they always have all of this ammo that they have.
And they generally go to a gun-free zone to do it.
Right. And I know some people can say that, yeah, I knew a guy who made his own ammo, but you still got to buy the gunpowder and different things like that. So maybe, I don't know, I'm just throwing it out there. Maybe there should be more of a focus. Okay, have your guns, but if you're going to buy ammo for it, we're going to have some kind of way of checking on it and stuff. I don't know.
Well, but think about it, Cal, if you combined several things, if you combined the tips about the boy, you know, there were several, the Broward County got 20 tips about this young man.
Right.
So if you combine the tips about him and the amount of ammunition he's buying, could we put 2 and 2 together and get 4?
Yeah, it'd be a red flag off.
I guess so.
So, I mean, you know, it's just something I'm throwing out there. Your listeners can, but really good show. I enjoy it. And it's just awesome. Okay, I'm going to get off.
Hey, I appreciate it, Cal. You be careful out there.
All right. Take care now, Conn.
And y'all hang in there. We got to go to break. But we'll be right back. Okay, folks, let's talk a little bit about Jack Hilliard Materials. They're out there at 12495 Reed Lake Loop in Temple. That's out there just past Academy. They handle all kind of rocks, big rocks, little rocks, gravel, road base, pea gravel, sand, whatever it is you need, they got it out there. Give old Hector a call at 254-982-4122. That's 982-4122. And also now they have dozers and excavators, and you know they can build you a stock pond or a road or whatever it is you want to build. And they got all kind of rocks to put on top of it when they get through. Give old Hector a call out there at 982-4122. Okay, folks, if you have an American flag outside your business, this show is an excellent choice for your advertising dollar. If your core beliefs are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, this show is an excellent choice for your advertising dollar. If you merely want to build a good, wholesome customer base, this show is an excellent choice for your advertising dollar. If you decide you want to advertise on this show and get some of those good customers, the advertising dollar working for you will give us a call at 254-300-1885. That's 300-1885. And we'll get you set up and going. Okay, folks, let's talk about some cow feed and horse feed and stuff like that. Temple and Belton Feed and Supply. It's a family-owned, operated feed store for 30 years, serving in Bell County, farmers, ranchers, pet owners, and hunters. Both stores offer a wide variety of feed brands and supplies for your farm stock, show animals, livestock, pets, including your spoiled chickens and wild bird lovers. They have a horse tack, feeding products, toys, jewelry, western wear. You name it and they got it. Hunters, they have your camouflage gear, deer feeders, blinds and stands, and the best protein feed for harvesting those great big old bucks that you want to put on your wall when you get home. Also now, I sure do like to feed that Winland horse and mule feed to my horse. He kind of, when I give him that, he thinks he died and went to hell. They're just good people over there. I've been buying feed there for a long time. Anyway, if you're in Temple, stop by and pick up what you need at 305 South 2nd Street. That's 305 South 2nd Street. Their phone number out there is 254-778-7975. That's 778-7975. In Belton now, if you're down there in Belton, if it's closer to you, you'll find them at 410 East 2nd Street. That's 410 East 2nd Avenue, Or if you call them at 939-3636, they'll help you out there. Their website is templebeltonfeed.com. templebeltonfeed.com. At any rate, I might say that I've got some folks encouraging me to have a podcast. I can't even spell podcast, let alone know what it is, but we're going to have some here in the future, so y'all might kind of look out for that coming. We're going to try to do that and see where it goes. In the meantime, we're going to be talking on this radio program right here. And I think we got a caller that wants to talk. Yes, caller, go ahead on.
Hey, Mr. Conn, this is Ed. In response to what one of your earlier callers said, I remember what a wise old friend of mine said to me many, many years ago. When somebody says that they're conservative, his response is, well, what is it that you're conserving?
He said what now, Ed?
He said, what is it that you're conserving?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
When someone identifies himself as a conservative.
Right.
Don't know if you remember that, saying that or not.
If it was me, I've slept since then. But
okay. Anyway, we'll forgive you that one.
But what are we conserving? Liberty? Are we conserving freedom? What are we conserving?
Well, when they say I'm fiscally conservative and socially liberal, you know that you basically have a Marxist theory that's saying, get your hands out of my pocket.
Yeah.
Okay, in regard to this shooter, these 39 stops to his house and this FBI fumbling, to me that doesn't sound like fumbling. That sounds like protecting MK Ultra guys.
Well, it sure does raise a lot of questions, Ed. You know, do we want to give up our guns and allow police to totally protect us in this way? I don't think I want to make that trade. Do you? I don't.
Not at all.
No, and I think this movement to, you know, if they want to take away AR-15s and outlaw AR-15s, what's next?
Well, that's it. Everything's incremental. You know, they'll push for one. Once they get that, they'll push for another one. But it's really odd. All of a sudden we have all these shootings, these school shootings, and these kids are on these psychotropic drugs, these mind-bending psychotropic drugs. You know, all of them, one in a row, one right after another. What's the common thread? The drugs. And in addition to that, I think all the violence that's being put in these movies, in these video games, is just anesthetizing people to violence and saying it's okay, and people being people, and when they're on drugs, that one thing leads to another.
Well, Martha McCallum made a statement, and of course I'm trying to find it and I can't, but she said there's three things that's always present in these kind of situations. One is the drugs, like you're talking about, and I can't think what the other two were, but the three things are present in nearly all of these type shootings. She hit it made a good point. But at any rate, I can't find it, so I guess I'll quit talking about it.
There's a common thread, and I don't know the three elements that she spoke of either.
No, I just found it. My wife saved me. Too much time online, spending too much time on social media, mental issues, and medications. Those three things are common in almost all of these cases, and that's something to think about. But,
most definitely.
But
programming.
Like Cal was talking about having a more of a handle on ammunition. I'm not necessarily for that, but I think if you want to combine these three issues and someone that has been reported as being violent or making statements like this boy made, if you see that and combine that with him going down and buying 1,000 rounds of ammunition, can we put 2 and 2 together and get 4?
Well, he was mentally incompetent. He had psychological problems. So the issue is not the gun itself. The issue is the person behind the gun with the problem that's not been addressed. That goes back to the 39 visits from the police department. That goes back to the FBI warnings about this guy that were not heeded. Nothing was done about it. His posting on social media where he said that he was going to be a professional school shooter, all these things add up. There's negligence along the line.
Okay, Ed, another question. Was it negligence, or did they ignore the threat waiting for it to happen? I don't know. Is there someone or something out there that wants to see the Las Vegas shootings, wants to see the school shootings? Do they want to control guns bad enough to make or allow that to happen? I don't know.
Well, that's the point. There's a common thread there, and it's just one right after another.
And I think that we